The estate tax, also known as the death tax, remains a heated topic on Capitol Hill and across the country. Economic experts say the death tax destroys jobs. Specifically, they claim it attacks small businesses, which, according to the Small Business Administration, are responsible for 55% of all jobs. Is it time to repeal this tax? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Trainum, and I'm joined by Jim Martin, chairman of the 60 Plus Association. Jim, welcome to the program.
Glad to be with you.
So the death tax, the estate tax, whatever you want to call it, the bottom line is that when you die, and if in fact you have a significant piece of real estate or a small business, your rightful heirs do not necessarily get that just like that. There's a tax involved. Why is that the case?
Well, the Congress imposed that tax, and it's a terrible tax to begin with. As you say, you pay taxes all your life and you die, you pay another tax. You know, there used to be a saying, death and taxes are for sure. Now there's another one, it's taxes after death, and we say that's unfair. And the truth of the matter is, you know, the Congress, there's an old saying on Capitol Hill, if it moves, tax it. Guess what? They're now taxing things that don't move.
It appears that way. It appears. Really but why is this tax in place? My understanding is that this was a revenue enhancer when we went to a time of war. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. 4 times in our nation's history, we've imposed it on the wealthy to help finance wars, if you will. It was always repealed shortly after hostilities ended the first 3 times. The 4th time, which was to help finance World War I, the Congress got used to the revenue, I suppose. In the dead of night, they forgot to repeal it. We're going to repeal it. It was a temporary tax. In other words, it was intended to be temporary. It's perhaps become permanent now. So our job is to repeal it.
According to the homework that I have in front of me, Jim, in 2012, the death tax collected $8.5 billion, approximately 1/3 of 1% of federal revenues. There are a lot of people out there that would say, well, wait a minute. When you take a look at the record deficits that we have, where we quite frankly cannot afford to pay all of the bills that Congress racked up, you know, $8.5 billion is a lot of money. There are a lot of folks out there, and I presume you're one of these individuals that says, number one, not only is it not fair, but it costs more from an administrative standpoint to collect this money, so therefore it's a bad investment. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, absolutely. The numbers you mentioned, a minuscule amount, and yes, study after study shows most of it is wasted on collection and compliance. And on the other hand, the Joint Economic Committee, by the way, Congressman Kevin Brady of Texas is the chief sponsor of repeal in the House, John Thune in the Senate. And Kevin Brady right now is chairman of the Joint Economic Committee. Studies show that if you leave the money with the rightful heirs, guess what will happen? There will be more, it destroys capital stock, and capital stock, of course, means lower wages, fewer jobs if you don't have that in the economy. And by the way, other economic studies show that money left at home will fill the Treasury even fuller because you're creating more jobs. And what do jobs do? They pay taxes.
So in other words, in some ways, it's an economic stimulus to repeal the death tax. The reason being, to your point, is that if in fact the rightful heirs get that money, they're going to reinvest perhaps in their business.
Absolutely.
To your point, that creates jobs.
Absolutely, yes.
Jim, you know, there are a lot of folks out there that says, you know, Congress cannot agree on anything. They cannot agree that, you know, this is a pen, let alone spending taxpayer dollars. Hypothetically, if in fact Republicans take over the House and or the Senate, do you believe that this bill will be repealed, let's say within the next 2 to 5 years?
I think within 2 years, maybe even less. If the House stays Republican, if the Senate goes Republican, in 2015, we will repeal it. Now, President Obama may veto it. He'll do it at his own peril and his party's peril, because study after study also shows that this tax is extremely popular with Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives. It'll become a major issue in the White House race in 2016.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Trainum. Have a great day. Bye-bye.